What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Whiskey Web and Whatnot with your hosts, Robbie_TheWagner and Charles the Plumber Carpenter.
Great nicknames.
I know. I'm one of the Mario brothers, actually. I'm Charles Mario.
Well,
brother to Mario.
You said you do all the plumbing in our last episode because it was like, it's your favorite podcast about plumbing. And you're like, about carpentry because you're a carpenter. And you're like, oh, I do all the plumbing. Or I don't know. Fuck it.
How did you fuck up your own joke in the first 30 seconds? Anyway,
I don't know.
Here we go.
He's even explaining to himself why it's funny at this point. Like, well, actually, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
No,
It's not
you get
that
it?
funny.
Why?
Well,
No, I didn't.
Yeah. What is important is we have the ThePrimeagen here, and we are doing a special Prime Barrel ThePrimeagen Whiskey Web and Whatnot barrel pick today. So we have 5 whiskeys, and we're going to drink all of those and see which one we like the best.
That we would like to endorse and say, this is the one we like. That's it. We're taking 3 different palettes and 5 different whiskeys, thanks to the Prime Barrel, and we'll see what we like or don't. Maybe they all suck. I don't know. We'll find out. On that note, we'll start with the first one. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to go with the Angel's Envy Bourbon. It's the Devil's Advocate.
On the list?
It's not first on the list, but it's the lowest proof.
You made the list out of order? Come on. Okay.
Prime doesn't even see the list. Stop it.
No, I know. Yeah. All right. I got Angel's Envy. Let's do it.
Angel's Envy.
I'm over
Devil
here
Advocate.
sorting these things.
Yeah,
now look at this. I'm
rating
completely out of.
Sorry. This is finished in port wine barrels and is a 108 proof expression in a little plastic bottle.
How much am I required to drink?
As little or as much as you want. You know, it doesn't take a ton to.
Because I would like to also be able to be a father tonight.
Might make another one. You keep with it. Yeah. Don't undersell the power of whiskey.
By the way, I didn't have any whiskey glasses for this many that could fit my hand in one carry, so I grabbed a bunch of what appears to be little champagne glasses.
I like it. Go with that. I just brought some water to like rinse them out, kind of on the way.
I'm not even gonna rinse.
I didn't know if that was like kosher or not, so that's why I brought 5 of these that could just all fit, like one for every finger.
I love it. I love it. I love also that you are under the guise of false expertise happening on this. Just because we drink a lot doesn't mean we know a lot, but.
It smells like blueberries.
Yeah, I definitely got a fruity smell to it. I didn't narrow it down to blueberries, but I can tell this is going to be a burner. It's got a little burn.
I didn't get any burn. Well, I mean, I did put some ice cubes in mine, but I didn't get any burn. It was
the burn isn't
extremely enjoyable. I could sip on this one for sure. I'm not like a big whiskey guy, so for when I say I could sip on it, that's like giving it I'm like 9 out of 9 legs on an octopus.
Which is possible in octopi, by the way.
I know. I remember from the last time.
Yes, nice. There you go.
That's a callback, okay?
Yeah. Don't call it a callback. That's a nerd joke, isn't it?
This kind of tastes like toffee to me.
Yes, there you go. I was like something almost like creme brulee, caramelized sugar kind of thing, but no, toffee. Toffee sounds about right.
Yeah.
With a little bit of like nutmeg in the finish, and then a little bit of like maybe nuttiness, even like light nutty, not even quite woody, but like nutty in the finish. I feel like this is a fairly standard expression for Angel's Envy. They just did a single barrel pick, so Prime Barrel tends to do that.
I don't know.
It's like a whiskey club thing online.
Better.
Yeah. What? This is better?
Yeah, I think it's a little better than. Well, we've done a barrel pick of it before, and then also the normal one. And I think this is the best one of the 3 so far, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is tasty.
You wanna rate it?
Should we rate it? Should we? Yeah. Well, we hadn't quite determined the format here, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. Or do we want to drink them all and then pick a winner and
pick
then rate
a favorite
that one?
and then rate that? I like that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my only problem is I just have to remember why I liked this one. Can we have a moment like just let the mouth kind of clear out? Is there like a preferred in between drink betwixt your whiskey?
So I like to do like a light effervescence. So La Croix, like in a lime or a lemon, works for me. Yeah, exactly. I think
we have
that
3 different brands of bubbly water.
A lot of people will do things like crackers, like a water cracker, or like even a saltine. A little salt can or pretzels. That can kind of cleanse your palate really well.
Nice.
Yeah,
that does sound really nice. I should have done that. I didn't do that.
I didn't even do that either. I just kind of I went winging it. Snacks. I don't keep a lot of snacks in my shed. I don't know from the last time that we talked if you're aware of my working situation. It has drastically improved the visuals over the last couple of months. But
did you take my approach of going away from the main house and being able to be like just
yes. So my kids have a playhouse, or had, because I stole it. I kicked them out, and then I put some rugs in here and did some lighting stuff. And then after a little bit of time, starting to get a lot of noise, so I got some of those like noise canceling blankets and like a little divider
you didn't
behind
go with
me.
the foam?
I have some foam. Yeah, I mixed it up. I have some foam and some blankets, but the blankets are really mobile. I don't know how long I'm going to be in here. Oh yeah, for sure. But I got
a lot of foam.
Totally. Love that.
I'm foamed out all the way on that side, all the way over there.
Oh yeah, that's like the dream.
I even have it on the ceiling above me, so it just helps not.
Yes. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Like, we are going to sell our house and then go to a rental situation for a year and then go to Europe. Yeah. So I can't
Can I ask you? So I'm not a financial planner or anything, but I'm decent at real estate.
Okay.
Are you sure you want to make some of those decisions? I'm just throwing it out there that by the time there's only two outcomes in the next, I'd say, 6 years coming back to America.
Yep.
Is that real estate is going to be effectively unobtainium.
Yep.
That avatars will guard, or it's going to be the whole thing has crashed and everything's free real estate.
So
yeah. My bet is that it's going to be if it does crash, it will crash momentarily in places like BlackRock, Open Door. All these places are going to pick them up like massively right now, because right now they control like 1% to 2% of all home sales right now.
Oh yeah, especially
they
in
actually
Phoenix.
already have a large especially in Phoenix. Phoenix, it's like 10%. They have like a really large influence on the actual local market, and I specifically Phoenix and Scottsdale, Gilbert area.
Yep.
I do not foresee changes in that one easily, because you've already hit like a pretty big downturn to begin with, and so now you've hit like, unless if there's a massive increase in interest, like your value's been going up, it's just remained down. And it's managed to just hold its place, which means the moment interest goes up, it's I always worry about giving up real estate. So I have a couple houses, and I just do not give them up, because I know that I think we'll be a rent-only country within the next like 20 years.
Oh, that is totally possible. I will say, and I'm happy to get into details with you, like offline in particular, but
yeah.
But basically, we will still hold property. Selling this one.
Oh, that's good.
And we will hold it debt-free, and there's a lot of...
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, awesome.
So those things.
Hold something, because, like for me, it's just like I will do the best I can not to give up housing for now.
And
I mean, there are always a situation where I don't foresee coming and I have to sell things, and, that's the life everybody has to live, and, sickness, whatever. So,
yeah. Life can surprise you for sure. And for this, so for the same reasons, life can surprise you, and... This is just like something we've wanted to do for a long time, like live abroad, especially when the kids are a particular age. It's just like, it just makes sense for a lot of reasons. Like, opportunity allows it now. So like, jump through that window.
Nice.
And when we come back, who knows where, kind of thing. We may not come back here too. So that's the other side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can live in my basement if you need to, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solid endorsement.
Wagners have a compound. So I've kind of like, I can crash with someone else who like I know primes have a compound too, so you wouldn't even see me.
We have a little bit of space.
Yeah. So anyway, gosh, I digress. I completely.
You know what else has a lot of space? Nashville.
Yeah.
You want to tell us?
Does it? I thought Nashville is being really taken over right now. Last time I checked, like 4 years ago, the median house price was like 3 something, and now it's 4 something.
Oh yeah.
I was keeping my eye on the market, because I was actually thinking about buying some long-term rental property there, because I was like, this is going to be a place that's going to explode over the next 10 years, and if you can hold anything for any amount of time, you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think it already exploded. Sure. It's like hard to invest.
I wouldn't
in
buy now.
Yeah. But it definitely
I would have bought then. You're probably still a good idea to buy now, but I mean, I can't. Like, I'm priced out of that market. So
yeah. Well, it happens to the best of us. All right, should we move on to the next?
Sorry, I'm really into. I
no,
like
and I'm
real
happy to
estate.
continue
like,
this. this conversation.
This is my non-coding side of Prime, which is like real estate is super cool.
Well,
it's just such a super cool thing. I'll tell you some fun stories here in a moment.
Yeah, that's funny because like on my list of things to potentially talk about, and of course, this goes wherever it goes. That's the other side of it, is like interests outside of this tech world and that kind of stuff too.
I'm largely just a tech geek.
You're not
Aren't
that
we
big.
all?
I don't care how many bench presses you can do. You're not that big.
Oh, I suffer under the weight of my desire to just type on a computer. All right, what's the next one? You guys are both pouring something in which I don't even know the answer to.
That's okay.
It's Nashville Barrel Company, right? Or is it
No,
not?
it's not. No, Wilderness
Damn it.
is the next one.
That's
Did
why
you
I
screw
said
up?
Nashville. Well, I poured the Nashville already.
Well, then we'll just go to Nashville. It doesn't.
Let's do
It
Nashville.
doesn't matter. We'll match you.
I forgot that
We'll
mine
get you
aren't in
there.
order. I fucked it all
You
up.
jumped to
sorry.
115. That's why I put them in order in front of me. Or
Yeah, but why wouldn't you
Well,
put the
no one ever
notes
told
in
me the order, so I have to wait.
yeah, I will tell you. It's not a secret. So, but yeah, it would have been Wilderness, then New England, then Nashville.
All right,
then
hold on. Let me do
Starlight.
the rest of them. Wilderness, New England, and then last would be Starlight.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can make this work.
All right, so now I got the other ones in order. Sorry.
See what I have to work with here? Like it's very frustrating. Okay, so this is a Nashville rye. It's called Smashville because sometimes they're barrel picks. They like to name them. It's a single barrel straight rye whiskey, 6 years old, 115.88 proof. So it's gonna be a hot one.
It smells like a cinnamon broom.
Like what was that cinnamon gum? Kind of smells like that cinnamon gum.
Big Red.
Big Red, yes.
Big
Kiss
fan. Big fan of Big
longer, last a little longer. I don't know why that's a thing. You remember that commercial?
I'm trying. Like I can almost hear it ringing in my
with
head.
Big Red, that Big Red freshness lasts right through it.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. This is my superpower.
Oh my goodness, this is so funny.
Pop
You remember all
culture
commercials?
things from like the 80s and 90s in particular. Like, yes, Latchkey Kid. This is what happened. So
I think I was Latchkey Kid too during that time.
yeah,
A lot of Beastie Boys,
yeah,
MTV,
yes, for sure. MTV when
man.
had videos all the time. Yes.
Rage Against the Machine. I grew up raging against the machine. I think that's why I want to constantly go against the grain.
Yeah.
Is that? But then I think it stopped going against the grain and realizing that I'm just simply right. And now I'm no longer thinking I'm going against the grain. I now think I'm just actually right.
Yeah.
And web dev is fundamentally wrong. I know we're like hot taken really hard.
Well,
here,
that's okay though,
but
because I think that is web dev fundamentally wrong, or just the loudest voices are fundamentally wrong? Because I think that like the culture within tech Twitter versus like what is happening 80% of other places where people are just doing their job and like things are working fine in those scenarios is also just fine too, right? Like they're not wrong. They're just like, maybe it's not sexy or interesting.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's a fair take.
I would say everyone that I've ever worked with has never consumed tech Twitter, or most of them haven't done open source work. Like they haven't done anything. They do their work and they're like blissfully unaware of like all the arguments that happen on the internet. So
this has a musty flavor to it, almost like
it's got a weird flavor.
Yeah, a little like orangey. No, lemon pledge. Like when you spray that and you clean wood, you're not supposed to use it anymore. I don't think, but. And then, like, that smell, that's what I imagine.
It does kind of taste like that.
It kind of tastes like that.
And not in a good way.
Any of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, sorry, Nashville.
This is right.
All right, hold on. Back to my hot take. Let me finish it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this is what I'm going to finish out, is that I've been doing a lot of soul searching.
Okay.
And so, like, for a long time, I like to call it type masturbation. Where I really liked to really be very expressive with my types, right? So in TypeScript, to try to be as expressive as possible to solve every possible situation. There's a great post Jamin does, if you're familiar with React Native Dev, Jamin. Anyways, great guy. He does this thing where he's like, how do I say I only accept numbers between 0 and 100? And, I don't want to have to literally be like 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. He's like, how do I do this? And there's a bunch of different solutions, and you can get pretty tricky with TypeScript, and it totally does work, and you can do that. But my general problem with all this, and it's kind of like what I was realizing, is that everything, it takes the greatest engineers to engineer a mess, And I feel like so much of web dev can kind of be categorized like that, where everything is so engineered. You get the world's greatest autocomplete, but at like the cost of so much. Yeah. And so I see it creeping in a lot of projects and all that. And what I realize is that I've now kind of swung full circle from Rust and all these things to just use Go. It's not sexy. It's not great. It's fast. It's way faster than JavaScript, and it's fractionally slower than Rust. Whatever. Type system, super boring, but you can like do anything in a few lines of code. Errors as values. You know where everything breaks. You don't get surprised. Hey, you're at only 99% uptime because you forgot about this one edge case, right? Like you have to handle things. And then lastly, HTMX, right? Just try to drive most of your logic to the server, keep things simple, and when you need to actually write some real interactivity, use the library or write it yourself and just make it go. You can even use React if you really, really want to. But I just realized like how much simpler life is just not doing as much as I used to. Because I mean, like 2016, I was React fanboy, top-down rendering, one-way data flow, all this kind of stuff, Redux, get it all done. And like I've completely, for like the last effectively 8 years, have just kept getting further and further from that. And now I feel like I've hit like the full grug where it's just like, give me it as simple as possible because I'm going to write the whole thing real fast and it's going to be real easy to manage.
Right.
Yeah.
Real easy to manage.
Going back
and
to
I'm
basics.
More concerned about the
like,
managing.
Is really like Chuck and I were talking about this for like a minute before we started here about like, you know, learning HTML and leveraging like everything that's built into it instead of reaching for like JavaScript for everything. And like, you know, knowing all the fundamentals, using tools that have like been battle tested and like, you know, they don't have to be the sexiest, newest thing, just like build stuff. Like, you know, everybody fights over what's the sexiest, newest thing and like, how do I use it and like optimize to get like 1 millisecond faster on this? Like that probably doesn't matter. Like you want it to be fast, obviously, but like you don't need to spend a year rewriting it to get like 20 milliseconds better speed.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder conversely to a degree is like creating complex. Okay. So like I remember early 2000s, we were fighting for a separation of concerns and like semantic web and things like that. And, you know, so much business logic was server rendered. And there was kind of like, in a way, kind of like a snubbing of the nose from folks working on APIs or working in, you know, real languages like Python or whatever else of like, oh, you're just doing like pretty interfaces up there. And I think that in some ways probably got to the right super smart people where they were like, hold my Funyuns. And they fucking just showed it. They were like, I know just as much as you. In fact, I'm going to like really, and they probably were solving some problems, right? Like compute was more expensive. You were like server farms and like offloading some of that to the client, which is like not my computer. I get to use your processing power. Maybe there were some reasons. There definitely were some things that were solved there to a degree, but that's not really where we are now. And then my second point around that was like, people showing how smart they were, but they were also accelerating their career paths in some ways of saying like, look at everything I'm making as a front-end engineer. I should be making the same money as the back-end engineer. I'm going to fight and say I'm doing very serious, important things in our interfaces. I want to be a senior engineer in 5 years or less. Like all of those things are realities that started to happen in the marketplace for jobs. And I wonder, like, the intersect of those two things, the increased complexity and management of things being more challenging and, like, demand and career acceleration. I don't know. It's all, like, hypothetical, but maybe.
I don't think you're far off. I think there's a lot of things to that. That's probably true. I do think that weird disdain of back-end versus front-end has always been silly because at the end of the day, we're all just solving problems, and back-end problems are just simply more apparent. As in, like, it's not hard to go, oh, you have to run that. You have to run a database on 5 computers. That's hard. I have no idea how that works. Where it's like, oh, you have to like render stuff nicely and do all these things. You know, how hard is it to move a box across the screen? And I know those are both like very trivial examples, but there's a lot of, I mean, then obviously the problem comes down to that you start having these people that are extremely talented that can obviously solve anything. And they're solving it in ways in which if we had more communication may have saved a lot of just time and effort, because I don't see how replicating the entire server state was ever a good idea on the client.
Yeah.
And I don't see how not having any state is also not a good idea. I'm sure there's some level somewhere that makes perfect sense. And we've just like, it's like the cultural pendulum swings.
Yeah.
You know, you have like extreme conservatism, extreme liberalism, all just going back and forth. We just have extreme back end and extreme front end going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're in the process of a swing from extreme front end to something. And it's going to be interesting where it swings to, because maybe it'll be dampened by this, React server components, people realizing, okay, this is a nice place to have kind of a client and server intermix. Like, let's try to figure out how to take advantage of that. And so I'm hoping, that it ends well. But I think that at the end of the day, what mostly happens is that most companies hold on to the bag of the last 10 years of conference-driven technology.
Yeah. Conference.
And people wanting to get promotions.
Yeah.
And so they have company like right now Netflix, there's class components still. There's class components with the legacy version, class components with the new version. There's functional components. There's higher order components. We have higher order components for days, right? Like there's everything that you can imagine. And so it's like this exists fundamentally because people wanted to push that this was the greatest way to manage state, and people believed in this, this thing. And so now we've been slaying dragons. And what happens when you slay dragons for 10 years? You have an entire backlog of dead dragons that are now your application, right? Like that's just like what happened, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And so we have one live one in there.
Yeah. We still use Falcor. I quit deving on Falcor almost 7 years ago. We still use Falcor to some level.
Right. So, I mean,
think about that. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, that's crazy that can exist. But it does. Of course it does. And so every one of these decisions, all these sexy decisions, result in somebody's full-time job or a group of people's full-time job maintaining that legacy idea.
Yeah, because it's funny because the, purveyors of said idea that sold a bunch of people, it's very attached to individuals, and then they move on. And then what happens, right? Next group of people come in, and they either have to deal with said legacy decision, legacy being probably within just a few years, or they have their own agenda.
Yeah.
And they come up
they
with their own
always
thing.
Rewrite it. There's never someone that comes in and is like, you know what?
Yeah,
I love that legacy shit. Let's keep doing that.
See, this is what I like about legacy web frameworks, because you come in and you're like, oh, you guys are on Django? I love Django. I know how that works. And then you just follow the path, the happy path.
Django's been Djangoing since before React. It's been around for a long time. I was using Django previous job, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Still Djangoing.
Yep. Django at Nat Geo when I came on board, and our API was Django, and we were doing what were they, Jinja templates with jQuery in them, and then we
not even Jinja 2, just Jinja.
Just Jinja. And that was a happy path. And so it is interesting to say, because you could spin up, Django. And it's interesting because they pick and choose too. So Django, when you set up a local instance, starts with SQLite too. So you
SQLite?
Yes, SQLite.
Love SQLite.
Yes. So you get a nice happy developer experience to start. They have a ton of articles. They've been on the Alpine HTMX train for a while. So
they have it.
Yeah.
Django's all about it, and they have a really great setup for it.
They really do.
Honestly, there's so many people coming out talking about how they're just slashing tens of thousands of lines of code.
Yeah.
Just doing that. And they're just we don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's super duper simple. And the stuff that we want to repeat, we just do these these Jinja components. I don't know how they work, but they're web components that are all packaged nicely together.
Nice.
And you just say, here's my JavaScript, here's my this and this, and it just makes a nice little thing for you, and it just works. I'm shocked at how cool it looks. It almost makes me want to write Python.
Almost. Get you almost there.
Almost.
Yeah. It's not Go, but I do think that that's a nice happy world to be in. If you're not title chasing or whatever else is going on, you can make a lot of great stuff with that, right? It's got a nice ORM. It's got auth. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Jobs are always the problem. You got to do whatever you got to do to get a job. So if people are hiring for that, then cool. But if not, got to do whatever tech stack they're doing. But
it's kind of interesting that you say that. I'm going to throw something out there that's kind of interesting here. We'll move on to the next one. I'll let you say your thing, and
we have to rate this one. We have to rate this one.
Philosophical talk of all time coming up next.
Wait, why are we rating? I thought we were rating at the end.
We started rating the first one.
Remember,
No,
I know.
I
started by
about
saying
it,
nine
though. No?
nine tentacles
Okay.
We decided
Yeah,
we
we're going
weren't going to rate any of the
until the end.
until the end.
Can't. Okay.
Were you
Can't
here? Are
agree
you
on
drunk
that.
already?
Robbie and I have been on the same page.
Listen, I took a little micro sleep, and
I've got all of them in the correct order now, and I'm ready to go.
So we're going to wilderness. Okay.
You can totally tell that Wagner over here is off. Oh, not Wagner. Sorry. Oh my goodness, I got the wrong one. You can totally tell, Charles. You're definitely
the plumber.
Using Redux right now because like your state is not matching the server. You can tell that we're the authoritative source, and you're still out of sync.
Don't talk about Redux. At least it's not a
Redux
saga
makes me
or
throw
a
up in my
thunk.
mouth a little bit.
Yeah, but it could be worse. Sagas and
Hey, what? You don't
thunks
like
and-
global buses? Actually, I
no.
do love global. I'm like a huge proponent of global buses, but
Just
it's
not
funny
in
because
Redux.
everyone's like, global's the worst. Here's Redux. You're just like, damn, man, you just made a global bus.
yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of people that don't know what they're talking about. Okay, wilderness trail.
This one smells like an old trunk of clothes that have been eaten by moths.
Right.
Anyone else getting that?
Mothballs. Yes, mothballs. Definitely get a
I
little
can smell the
mothball-y.
mothballs this time. This is the first time you've described something that I've actually been able to like follow you on.
Okay, so
The rest, I'm like, you guys are like talking about like, dude, just strands of specific beef jerky, and I'm off here like I don't even know what they're talking
biltong.
about.
It's actually biltong. Dax put
This
me
one
on the
smells a little bit like the ocean as well.
path. Okay, so this one is
Like
the wilderness
seawater.
trail where the high ride things are. So they like to come up with clever stickers and names for that. Cast strength, single barrel. It is a bourbon. It is 110.86 proof. It's a high rye mash bill. I don't have the specifics, but it's a 64-24-12. So I gotta say that it's probably 64 corn, 24 rye. If it's a bourbon, it has to be at least 51%. Glug, glug, glug. Scotchy, scotch, scotch.
So I have a very weird, like it doesn't really taste like this, but it evokes a memory of, were they called pogs? The like circle things you would like
Oh,
flick
we're too
to.
old for those.
Pogs,
But my
you
brother,
ignorant
my
slut.
younger
Of
brother.
course, they
had
were
those.
Yeah.
called pogs and slammers.
Yeah, they smell like going to a store that sold those, and like I don't know, the bin of new pogs. Like it smells.
I feel like I went to like
tastes
the
like
comic
that.
store with
Yeah.
my brother for him to get those or something. But like, yeah.
I don't know why. It just my brain like regressed all the way back to whatever year that was.
Yeah, that's what tastes are associated with memory, and the memory sometimes is like a flavor note, but sometimes it's something else, right?
Yeah, this one is certainly better than the pledge one. I'll
Yeah,
give it that.
it's pretty mild though. I don't know if that's because I'm coming off a 115 proof, but it has a light cola flavor for me, and
Yeah, this one's enjoyable.
A little
It's not as
leathery.
enjoyable
Yeah.
as. I'm still on
Angel's
team
Envy.
whatever the first one was. Angel's Envy
Envy's.
so far.
So I'm going to tell you a weird one that I taste.
yes, please.
Has anyone ever chewed on a number 2 pencil?
Oh, yeah.
yes. Oh, absolutely.
You know that little bit of a woody,
Yes.
almost
Yeah.
graphite slight flavor
I
to
actually-
it? I can almost taste the pencil
I was
when I do
putting
it. I
it
get this
as
memory of it.
leathery, and I think that what you say is more accurate. Actually, that's funny.
It's like there's something shockingly nostalgic about drinking this one.
Yeah, Wilderness Trail. It's a very interesting.
You're just a kid at school with your pencils and your pogs and like everything about that memory.
Pencil case.
Yeah, it's a great memory.
Yeah, pencil case and or Trapper Keeper. Did you get an annual
Yeah, I
Trapper
saw that.
Keeper?
They
you
still
see
do
Kelly
Trapper Keepers
Vaughn's
to this day.
Do they?
Trapper Keeper thing
Yeah,
that she
yeah.
posted? She went to some bar that was like 90s themed and they gave you like a Trapper Keeper. I don't know if it was like the menu or what, but like she was like,
that's-
I live here now.
That's a strong move. I'll have to look that up. I did not see
Yeah.
that. I think there's probably other arguments I saw. You know how the Twitter algorithm kind of like, it just kind of goes in waves depending on what you look at. And, I obviously
Well,
also
if
use
you
it.
really like someone, you can say, I want to see all their posts. So I guess you don't really like Kelly.
I don't really like anyone, including myself. So it's a lot of self-hatred. No, but I'm in a mode of seeing a lot of soccer stuff right now because it's been a tumultuous couple of weeks for Manchester United. So There is that.
I got two things for you. Can I just back to back hot takes really quickly?
You may, whatever. We're just rolling through.
Number one, I think if you follow 0 people on Twitter, you're a doofus. Number two,
I follow people.
I know. I'm just saying there's people that have tech accounts that follow nobody. And I feel like it's a try hard because you're interacting with people. I see you tweeting. I see you responding. I think you're being a tryhard. I think you're just being a tryhard, and I don't like it, right? Because who cares? Who cares if you're following people, right? It doesn't really matter about that. Anyways, number two, back to the Django thing. Remember I told you to scorch earth take? You know, it's funny. When you go and ask people what they work on, you will often hear Python Django, right? Like, this is a pretty common thing. Sure. Yet, I don't see a ton of job openings, which makes me think of something. When you said this, it kind of sparked a thing in my head. What if the reason why you don't see a lot of job openings, and yet somehow you always run into people writing Python and Django, is that it fundamentally takes significantly less engineers to make the same site because it is truly drastically simpler?
Ooh, I think that's correct.
I think you're onto something. I'm
just saying that for whatever reason, every time I run into someone, they're always making cool stuff, and they're always iterating on features and actually going decently fast.
You get
yet they don't seem to be bogged down with, because typically if you've ever worked on any large scale software, I'm talking million plus lines of code, you'll find that features kind of grow, time it takes is 2 to the n. Within a couple years, you are kind of forced to rewrite because you just can no longer keep on going. At least that's been my experience, and every JavaScript application I've ever worked on has been a rewrite within 8 years of it existing.
Oh, 100%.
I've just never been able to go. And I'm being generous here. I'm saying 8 years is the longest one I've ever seen, and that's the current TVUI one, which I'm very impressed by. But I also heard a phrase today. Someone said they had no idea how something was happening. And so, that's, and they were core developing the feature, and they didn't know how it exactly worked. Ooh. And so, that's, that's real. That happens at some point within applications.
Yeah, it really does.
But Python and this Django and maybe HTMX, maybe you could make me into a Python boy after all. I just love this idea that it is actually so simple.
Yeah.
That it changes the landscape.
You can have your preference, and then you can have what works, right? And I think there's something with that.
And you should always learn both. Knowing some of the new hot thing and some of the thing that always works is good for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do have this really strong thing where I say, you should always be learning things.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be the advantage of knowing your tool versus the right tool for the job. It's why I hate that phrase, the right tool for the job. No one picks the right tool for the job. They pick the tool in which gives them the best efficiency, which is always the tool they just have been using. And so there's this momentum that kind of keeps people stuck in a rut where whatever they started getting good with, they refuse to jump out of. Ooh. And then they kind of get into this weird, it's the right tool for the job because I can really build it. And you're like, but is it the right tool for the job? I understand it's right for you in this moment.
There is decision fatigue to a degree. I can actually speak personally to exactly what you're saying because I'm working on a thing, and based on open source stuff Robbie and I had worked on for a long time, and I found myself in that exact place. As I went down a path on some new hotness that I come across, and it was really kind of fun to work with, but then I just kept running into it's news, and then you have this, you have this, you have this. I just kept running into a couple of problems there, so I was like, fuck all this. I want a one and done kind of thing, and started playing with Redwood.js and Django. And Django was I spent a weekend kind of playing with both of those things, and Django was I remember how fun this was, and maybe I kind of want to do this again. But then there was the learning curve on top of that made me doubt myself a little bit. So I went with Redwood because it's stuff I'd been using over the last 5+ years. It's not the sexiest stuff, but it's not the worst stuff, and it's kind of battle tested, and it comes with a lot out of the box in the same way that Django does. So I was like, fuck it, let's go this path. And I, had some folks around me saying listen, just let's get something going. And worst case scenario, if you want to trash that and go the other direction later, great, we'll do that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to do that. So I think I fell into that exactly. I've been writing tons of, Node and TypeScript and all of that, and GraphQL and whatever else. GraphQL is not cool anymore because, it's pigeonholed. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but...
Was it ever cool?
It was cool.
It definitely
As
was
one
cool.
who wrote Falcor, I remember being in their office before they even released GraphQL talking about some of their fetching patterns. They did a lot of super cool,
and it was
clever
great
stuff.
for their use case, right? So, whatever. It's not a panacea to everything. But again, it was just like, well, here's what's familiar and here's how I can go. And so I fell into that same exact thing, is that, recency syndrome in that. And then somebody said, there's no right tool for the job. Let's just go do a job. And you rebuild it later.
Most jobs, there's no right tool.
Yeah.
Like when you're serving like a static site of some sort or a lightly interactive site, they're just reality check. There is no right tool.
Yeah.
There really isn't, because you're not doing anything fantastic. If you're building like a pretty complex app, like there does come a point where certain languages and certain things just make things easier. Like if I'm writing a game, like at some point, it's like if I'm writing a AAA game, and let's say for whatever reason, I want to have like the top line graphics possible and all that, you probably should just use Unreal Engine, right? Like if I want the greatest and the great, like I could fight against it and try to write my own shaders really quickly. But, like at some point, there's just a better tool. Just use the tool that's like better.
Yeah.
Godot's great and fight the man, but, like maybe if you're trying to get the world's most cutting edge, services, maybe it's just a little bit easier to use.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. And that's a reality. And I think it's a reality for a lot of us, where we're fighting to be like the smartest and the right and whatever else. And a lot of us aren't. And, maybe you are. I have, I think just a lot of reality into like my abilities and my experience. And I'll leverage that. I'm going to leverage that experience to kind of do better along the way. I won't reinvent the wheel, but I'll definitely make something.
Yeah. I mean, using things Tom Preston Werner makes is probably not bad, because he has more money than any of us. So
I didn't copy any
right.
of his HR policies. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Tom Preston Warner is?
He's one of the founders of GitHub.
Of GIMP?
And he's
GitHub.
no GitHub.
Oh, GitHub. Yeah. Probably a smart guy.
Yeah.
He does
The writing on the wall
Redwood
on that
JS.
one. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Never tried. I've honestly never even heard of or tried Redwood. I feel like in like the faint recesses of my mind, I've heard the term Redwood JS. I just can't say I've ever tried it.
Yeah.
It's
Or
like
like-
Ember for React. Like you switch out your rendering layer with React, but then it has like a lot of conventions that like Rails would have. Like you're
And
going
it's
to
full
generate
stack.
stuff with generators, and like it's just very like if you
Yeah,
want
it's
to move
Railsy,
from project to
'cause he came
project
from
and
Rails
be
originally.
yeah, like you can go to any Redwood JS project and be productive day one, versus like React projects you're going to learn for like months before you like start being productive.
Yeah, because each team has a way of doing like
Yeah.
It's actually a really great argument for why simple languages are better than complex ones. JavaScript, I'd argue, is a complex language. Go is a simple language. Rust is a complex one. Is that when you go, like if you were to take any problem you want, it doesn't matter what the problem is, and say, hey, 5 experts in this language, go solve this problem, none of them would return with a solution that looks similar. They'd all be so different, and you'd realize like to understand and fix a code base in these languages require you to also adopt the writer's mentality.
Oh, yeah.
It can actually be
Yep.
pretty difficult. Whereas like when you use these simpler languages, Lua/Go, you're gonna it's pretty much one way to do things. Like there's just not like a lot of wiggle room. And so you go, oh, I can like fix anything because I generally know what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's all great. I'm not saying it's all great. Go, there's plenty of shitty Go, right? Like I'm not stupid out there. But it's like there's also I can mostly just swing it despite having very little experience in it and go and join in on any project and be relatively
And you
useful.
can go.
Go, yeah. Sorry, I've been on this train a little bit lately, and I've just been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm calling it like my later years, my golf years, and just trying to enjoy developing for the sake of building,
Yeah.
not for the sake of artisanally dunking with the latest tech.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Artisanally dunking. I love it.
Artisanal dunking. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah, I managed a Go team for a bit when I was at Acquia. Yep. There we go. Okay, we'll go again. Yeah, New England.
I want to hear this though.
yeah,
I am
yeah.
curious about what your experience was, because how long ago was it? Because Go in the last year has gotten actually really good. All the things I've hated about Go is now going away.
Okay. I mean, so this was like 6 years ago. Like it would have been like 5-6 years ago.
My still hated part of Go was there.
Oh, interesting. Well, everyone on that team was very happy. And I dabbled just enough like for fun, but as a manager I didn't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
And everybody was so happy in that team. Anyone who was on the team, anybody who came in the team, it was like one of the like easiest teams I've ever managed.
I feel like anytime there's a Go team, like there's never someone that's like, I really hate Go. Like people that give it a try, I think they might not love it as much as some of the people that advocate for it, but nobody hates it. Yeah.
I rarely hear people express their undying love for Go. Almost everybody that I know is just like, yeah, it's pretty good mid language. It's mid.
Yeah,
you know, like that's what makes it so good. It's like, yeah, you know, it's like blue jeans and a sports coat. You know, you're not dressed up, but you're not dressed down. You know, it's like right in the middle. You know,
I think not pissing anyone off is a pretty good place to be in life. Like
it's a really good place.
Yeah, I mean, so here I am cleaning my glass out as a aficionado.
Well, some of us just brought different glasses.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. Yeah.
I mean, there's a really aficionado.
Listen, I do have a
Prime's
dishwasher,
the official whiskey taster here.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to make the final decision. All right, so this is the New England Barrel Company. Cheers! With an exclamation point. Bourbon whiskey. It is 6 years aged and 112.4 proof or degrees.
I'm smelling blood orange and sage.
I'm not in the orange, but let me see here. Let me get it in the glass.
So specific. Like, how did you get blood orange versus orange? Can you just like lay me in on the secrets to that?
I don't know. It just doesn't smell
well,
quite
blood orange to
like
me
a
does
normal
have a
lemon
stronger
or orange.
flavor. I lived in a place many years ago that had a blood orange tree in like the courtyard, and they're a little smaller, and they're just like so much more like concentrated with a slight bitter tinge.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
I think they're great. I mean, I've had very few in my life of them, and they're fantastic.
Yeah,
we
can't really
fresh
buy them
blood
at the
orange
store,
margaritas,
which is
by the way.
a problem.
Yeah. There's a bunch here, like citrus in Phoenix, huge thing. It's like Florida to the west. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you're picking blood orange out of that, but
See,
the taste
not the only
is.
one.
I don't know.
you get almost like a little
in the
simple
mouth.
syrup kind of thing too, like a light, like straight sugar flavor, like sugar cane actually. Have you ever like seen like had a
You chew
sugar
on a
cane,
lot of
break
sugar
it
cane?
off and
Yeah.
but
When I was in China, I used to chew on sugarcane. It was good times.
Oh, okay, see, maybe when I was in Hawaii, like I smelled fresh sugar cane.
Yeah, there's not a lot of sugar cane in rural Virginia for whatever reason.
Yeah, you don't
Rural
get out
America
of Virginia.
generally doesn't have sugarcane.
You know, a trip abroad for Robbie is Pennsylvania
Nebraska?
or South
Hey,
Carolina.
I only
maybe, or
go to
something?
Italy
No.
because that's the only place
And
worth
Italy
going.
now. Yes, you're
Hey,
you're
to be
looking for
completely
places.
fair, most people in California trip abroad would be South Dakota, or really anything between Texas, California, Oregon, New York, right? Like that would be like, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm roughing it this week. We're going to Nevada,
Oh man, that's funny. So I have
Carson City, Nevada.
I have
We're gonna
family
go
in
gold
Montana.
mining."
We've talked about this before, though. I know how to rough it. Oh, I love Montana.
Yeah.
Have you done some fly fishing?
Yeah, I used to live a half mile from a river runs through it. River, the Gallatin.
I've been there. Yes. Okay, we should meet in Montana at some point. Or we can invite Carson. Because he's there anyway. Is he in?
Not only can we invite Carson, but we can also get the Sushi Dragon to come along with us.
Okay. I don't know who that is.
You
but
don't know
that
who the
sounds
Sushi
great.
Dragon is?
No.
He's like a super amazing live editor. Yeah. He has like a backpack that has like many hours now of footage, and he can just like AI out your face and all this stuff. Very, very cool guy. But yeah, he's also in Bozeman, Montana, my stomping grounds, my alma mater.
Yeah, okay. I was just say, yeah, my wife's family, they have a lot of Bozeman going on. So yeah, that would be
so good.
Yeah, love it there.
Fly fished in 10 years.
Okay.
So like I think I can still tie a doctor's knot, but I'm maybe not. But I can still tie a fly to a string. But everything else, I'm not sure if I could like tie two strings together when you snap the leader.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure if I remember the exact knot anymore. I know it's called the doctor's knot, but I don't remember what it was.
I
Yeah,
actually have a little
PhD in
plastic
knots,
thing that tells you like all the knots and stuff. Fun fact.
How about this one?
I was taught a doctor's knot by a doctor. My father-in-law is a former surgeon. So
I'm going to give you an offer, and this will be a very secret and best offer, and no one else gets to know because only you will know when we do it.
okay.
If you meet me in Montana and we do this, and we go to Bozeman, Montana, I will give you the best fishing spot. And when I say best fishing spot, you put a specific type of lure on, and you will catch maybe 1 out of 3 casts, minimum 15 inches. Almost over and over and over again, unless if there's been a fundamental ecological change. This is a secret spot that one of my friends who grew up there, been there for like 30 years before me, showed me, and it was just like, and I even tried his thing. I stood 15 feet away from it on the other side, caught nothing for like an hour. Walked over to this thing, every third cast, just graylings and cutthroats, and it's incredible due to how the lake and the river runs. It creates this like small little pocket where you just have to throw anything in there and you'll catch it every single time. It's like, it is incredible, but it's only one specific spot. You cannot go anywhere else.
We'll do it. We're gonna. Your friend didn't have a last name Rugheimer, right?
No, it's Ernest. His dad plays with John Mayer and other famous blues people.
Oh, okay.
Really, really awesome. So like during like the Pine Ridge fire, he would like they had like the concert. He was involved with the concert, and then last minute some things fell through and he didn't go to it. But like a lot of that, like when John Mayer first did his very first singing again, it was in Bozeman, Montana. Yeah. Right? Super, super cool stuff.
That is cool stuff. I love that town. It's very cool. Also a very expensive place to be.
It unfortunately. So I bought my first house. I think I said this last time I was on this podcast. $205 on a handshake in Bozeman, Montana. That same house is worth $1 million.
Oh
right now.
Easily.
I don't own it because I sold it because back then I didn't see the value of real estate nearly as much as I do now.
Right.
I would have held on to that. Yeah. Hands down, I would have held on to that, and I would have been loving life right now.
Yeah. I have free places
like all the
to stay
Bitcoins
there. So when we meet, I have free places to stay there. So we're all right.
All right. Okay. We should.
Yep.
We absolutely should. Like, I'm actually already going to go there this summer because I have to meet up with the Sushi Dragon.
Nice. Yeah, I can't go this summer because we're going to Italy for a month, but that's a whole other side story. But we will go. We're going to go in the next year. I'm going to say it right here. Cheers.
Yeah.
Holding
it seems like you think the summer is only a month long.
I know. That's what I'm
fair.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair. That's not impossible to say.
You could go,
July
summer.
And August just don't even exist right now for this guy.
I'm out
like late
all
August,
of July,
early
100%.
September even, depending on weather.
Yeah, well, I have children, and they have school and things like that, so I have to consider all those things. Yeah, we're going all
By
of
the way,
July.
do you go by Chuck or Charles? I see you alternate between depending on the things because I know
he's Chuck. He goes by Charles for the lulz.
The internet. So I am Charles William Carpenter the third.
Exactly. Yes, I know.
And that's an official thing. For my friends, I'm Chuck. So you may call me Chuck.
Okay. I was just wondering because I've noticed that I've seen like I think I have 4 different points of contact with you, and I think 2 and 2.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I was like, okay, wait a second.
Where do we go with this?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know your name, but I think most of the internet doesn't know your name.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not hard to figure out. It's on my wiki fan page, all that. But
we don't. I'm not trying to dox you here or anything like that.
I think the last podcast we put it in the notes, and somebody was like, "His name's Michael." Like what? I don't know. People didn't know.
But
anyway, you're already out there doxing me. Like I thought we just agreed together. That's okay. It's honestly okay.
Yeah.
I'm only following 4 people on Instagram, and one of them's a girl. And I always talk about my beautiful wife. Like, it's not that hard to figure out.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not that hard to figure out some parts of my life.
I'm not even on Instagram. My wife would run ours until like our entire production process got blown up. So
Yeah, as it does.
Blee, blee, blee.
Speaking of blowing up, let's try this cigar batch.
Oh, mate, you're already jumping ahead. What did you guys think about? I liked the New England barrel. I thought
we're not rating anything though.
I know, but can we
I
talk
do want to
about
say one
them?
thing about it. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I think I have one thing to say about it. Now, typically, I don't talk a lot about this. You've noticed I've been quiet the entire time. I will say that one thing that happened during the New England that was unique was that when I took a drink, it got really hot, and then afterwards, it like had a second run, and it was kind of more interesting tasting on the second run. I was like, oh, this is a little bit more nuanced of a drink than the other ones.
Yeah. I got some vanilla later on with that one.
Yeah, good. I mean,
it was good.
Robbie's really killing it in the notes for me today because I feel like I'm like getting some things, and then he'll say, and then just totally hits it. Right
I mean, I got some that I definitely wouldn't drink again, but I got some that are good so far. We'll see how this last one is.
I have 2 strong contenders.
Same
personally.
All right, what is this? This is
water.
Well, I shouldn't say. You'll say, but it's from Starlight.
Yeah, I know. We have our roles. You intro us, and I talk about the whiskeys.
Yeah. And when I've had 5 whiskeys, I start to do
Robbie.
whatever I want. So,
yeah. Well, here's the problem. I'm looking for a new co-host, Prime. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you said you're not a big
guy.
whiskey drinker, so I don't know where it's going to pivot, but you know.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Hey, but I will. I mean, I will drink a big amount of whiskey. I'll drink a big amount of whiskey at React Miami.
We should talk about that.
We'll have to
we
do
definitely
something
should talk about that. So
special there. Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to be there. A lot of people talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to cause some sort of controversy because people think I make fun of React. I only make fun of it so that people will take a second and like slow down on tech Twitter and like not. I'm sorry if this is too inappropriate, but stop having boners for React. Like, slow down a moment and like just like realize like what are the trade-offs you're actually making. Like, do you want to make these trade-offs? There's some things that I think React does amazing. Like, I really like it. I'd say that it's thinking about certain apps, even really just thinking about apps in general, tend to be the easiest in React. I think it's really easy. Like, I can kind of envision how I would build it in React almost immediately, no effort. But I've just found that after that point, I struggle more with maintenance and expansion than I do with like alternatives. And I'm not talking like solid JS alternatives or Svelte alternatives. I'm talking like very, very like the HTMX alternative. I find it's easier, the long tail on HTMX, easier on the short tail with React. And so I say these things not as like trying to be, I intentionally trying to be bombastic so people just take 1 second and go, okay, let's think about it for a second. Maybe there is maybe there's a there, and maybe there's not.
Yeah, I do think regardless of whether people actually use and like HTMX, I think making that like argument that should you be shipping HTML instead of JSON is like, you should at least think about that, because I do think being able to use it directly is compelling versus having to be like, all right, well, I've got this JSON, let me convert it into the HTML I want. If it's already what you want, you just use it. So, like,
I mean, the argument is based around, like, I remember making back in the day when I was working with folks in .NET and HTML was being shipped, and HTML that wasn't considerate was my argument. I haven't even got there.
Smells like snickerdoodles.
Ooh.
Sorry,
I don't care.
I already had it.
Yeah.
I already had the ice cubes and everything, so I had like a time limit, so I knew that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to.
Yeah, you got to get in there and it gets too watered down. No, I totally understand. This one's filled to the brim, by the way. Thanks, Michael from the Prime Barrel, for really loading this one up. Yeah. Maybe it's a good one.
PrimeBarrel.com.
So I've enjoyed all of these flavors except for this one. This is actually the one that I'm actively against, and you know I don't want. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but you know that spray that you spray in the back of your throat for coughs. It's not Robitussin or whatever it is.
Chloroseptic,
yeah. It numbs your.
Yes,
now that you said that, I'm tasting that. Yeah,
yeah. It's like a heavy chloroseptic feel to it. Maybe it's licorice. That's like the base flavor to this. That's what's happening here.
All right,
but they're like, it's hard for me to break that.
You're getting better at this. Yeah. You don't even know it, because first of all, there's no wrong answer. The second of all is like the
there is actually
is
literally wrong answers. If I say there's oranges and you're like, yo, dog, there's
no oranges.
By the recipe,
but it's subjective. So while
if you can pick up
subjectively wrong.
No, it's subjective in a way, and then we have a dialogue and we're trying to like come together on a similar vernacular. And that essentially is like whiskey tasting. All right. So this is the Starlight Bourbon Whiskey, the cigar batch, The Joy of Starlight, episode 7, finished in Brazilian Amberana. That just means they've done 6 other barrel picks.
I love their naming, though. I think they have
they have
a very
whiskey
good
culture gets very clever in some of these like naming, and a lot of them will do stickers that are hilarious. So whatever. So this is finished in Brazilian Amberana rum barrels. It's aged 4.5 years. I remember it was also like finished in these rum barrels for an additional 6 months, and it is 117 proof. So it is a hot one too.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't actually, I really don't get much of a hot one out of it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I get a lot of.
I feel like it's pretty easy to drink, but it's just that chloroseptics really, it just really gets me, and I can't shake it.
It does have a cigar leaf.
I hadn't tasted that until you mentioned it, but I'm getting it a lot now.
Now you can't shake it? Yeah. I know. Did I just anchor bias you really hard? My bad.
Yeah, it happens.
It's okay.
So it being named cigar batch, it very much has like a cigar leaf smell to me. Which is like, I'm okay in certain occasions doing a cigar. I don't really care, like in general, but like I will imbibe.
I like a cigar about once every 4 months.
Oh, 4 months. I used to do it annually.
We'll get some in Miami
with family, and then Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
if I can fly, I'll find out if I can fly with some. I have a very special brand I'll tell you about offline. Effectively impossible to get. Very, very difficult. First batch was the largest cigar drop ever. They've never been able to, like, no one has replicated this. It's very, very awesome. So
yes,
I got my hands
intrigued.
on it. I got a few cigars I'll bring down if I can. I don't know if I can. That's like the thing is I don't know if you can fly across state lines with tobacco. I'm not like sure the rules on these kind of things because I know like alcohol is a little tricky sometimes.
Well, there's a big
harder,
difference between like checking your bags and carry on too. So like if you're
exactly,
bags,
it's like super stupid. It's like every law that's ever written where it's just like, oh, but if you take that avocado and smash it, you got yourself a food item. You're like,
okay. No, it's a nut. No, I don't know.
Yeah. Every time I travel with like a stack of business cards too, they're like, this has got to be drugs or something. I'm like, it's
no man your age carries business cards. This man's a cartel leader, everybody.
Have you seen American Psycho? Oh, wait, you have, and that's why you're stopping me. Never mind. The business cards really matter.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had all of the whiskeys now. Mm-hmm. So how are we feeling? Like, what are the top 2 or 3 everyone's thinking?
I'm going to pull mine forward.
I've got my top 3.
I really liked the Angel's Envy. Mm-hmm. I was a little bit surprised because I've had it before and I don't remember it being like likable. I wouldn't put it on like my list where I remember. Maybe rememberable might be a little bit better. I
agree.
I've had it a few times now and I was like, oh, that's nice, but like I wouldn't think about it. This time, I really enjoyed it. Within the confines of this batch, I found it very nice. Maybe it's because it's the first one, and the first one's always a bit.
We can go back to it. You have a like.
I'm planning on it a little bit. I've gotten a little bit of whiskey in me at this point. I accidentally poured way too much of this one. Look at this one. I accidentally got way too heavy on that one.
The learning curve is there.
Yeah, so I've done that with like every one of them. So I'm.
Oh wow.
I am not.
I have not done that with the Starlight, by the way.
You are hammered.
Yeah. Say I've only eaten once today.
Well, yeah. Chuck and I have
same here.
An alcohol problem, so we're okay.
It's only a problem if your kids are in the car. Oh my gosh.
No,
I think that was a
Let's cancel Chuck now.
And a miss. Yeah, we're gonna cancel Chuck now. Everybody, can we?
It's
please
inevitable. So
Prime
I'm a
is the
Gen
new co-host.
Xer. I'm Gen X, and I'm gonna get canceled. No doubt.
You know, I think Gen X does suffer from the most cancelable takes.
I know,
because you grew up like you grew up in your more formative years than I did with the internet, in some sense, because you grew up in like because I'd say that most people act more like they did from when they're 18 to 24 than when they did from when they're like 9 through 18.
Yeah,
so like I mean, the words that I use to describe people on the internet are largely cancelable from the ages of 9 to 25. But now you shift that back a few years, or forward a few years. All of a sudden, you have like you're much more like adult life.
Yeah.
In there.
How old were you when Kazaa came out, Chuck?
Yeah, that was like another form of like Napster and Winnet, or what was that? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, another one where we stole music.
LimeWire was obviously the true spiritual success. Napster.
But this was before LimeWire, I feel like.
Yeah, the dark ages.
Yeah. I definitely was on all of those sites, just testing music before I went to buy it, of course.
Making a record of the ones you were going to buy and own legally after the fact. Yeah,
exactly. Kazaa would have been out. So I'm thinking like in 2000, I moved to Arizona the first time, and I had roommates, and we bought and built the components for like communal computer. We didn't even have our own computers. I did have some computers.
Computer computers were a 90s. That was a 90s facet
the house computer
of the American family. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. When I started college, I had to get, like, I'm trying to think. My brother had a computer before I actually might have owned one. And I remember, like, when I started college, I was forced to get a computer because I was starting, like, architecture at University of Cincinnati.
Interesting. Architecture. What a horrible choice.
Why? Because
it's interesting.
I wanted to make art that would last.
Ooh, I like that answer though.
I think it sounds very fun. I don't know that I would want to do all the work involved.
Well, that's why I washed out of it, is because it sounded like I love art. I still love architecture.
Yeah.
I read
Architecture is
things
one of the
about-
hardest degrees to get.
Yeah.
Like you are in it.
And when
like,
you do get it, like the being anybody in it is very difficult, right? Like, so not everybody gets to be Frank Lloyd Wright or whatever. Frank
It's like being a
Gehry or
painter.
whatever. Yeah, like it's really tough. Like most of the time, you're in an agency like a lawyer, and you're just running through. Yeah, so all of that reality kind of washed on me. Plus, I started college at 17, so I just was like, I think this is what I want to do, but I don't know what I want to do, and yeah, that's my whole weird backstory. But
can I take a quick break? I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then can I come back?
Yeah, that's fine.
Here.
So I got too excited.
Don't pee your pants. They're dark. It's fine. Can't you just pee them? I didn't know
Gotta
if
get
you
that
had, like,
catheter going.
Yeah,
Oh man, I've had some whiskey.
yeah. Which is funny because it's like varying levels per whiskey. I do have.
I've got 2 clear not winners.
Oh yeah, I have 3 clear
Which-
not winners.
The two for sure are Nashville and Wilderness that are not winners. Do you have those in your not winners?
Yes, and the Starlight.
Okay.
Starlight that we just had was not good.
Well, so
care for it.
I'm on the fence, and we can talk
You're-
about this more when Prime comes back. But like, I still think it has some
Okay,
snickerdoodle like qualities that are
come back to it.
tasty. It does. Once you've mentioned chloroseptic, you can't like untaste it.
Can't. Yeah,
But
it's a problem.
like, I think with that in mind, it's still my number 3, and then I have the other 2 are my top 2. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely going to be Angel's Envy or New England for the one we pick. I think we're all on the same page with that.
Okay.
Unless you had a separate number 2. But no, we just said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're still on the same page there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We are aligned. And now he is back. You know, those are dark pants. You could have just peed them.
Yeah. Just get a catheter
I could
set
have
up.
committed. I could have committed, but I didn't.
Yeah. Is on, like on stream, have you ever just peed yourself? We can cut this out.
Okay.
Way too.
Well,
Great question, but no, I haven't. But
So,
one time I did
okay.
wait too long, piddled a little bit. Like I've had that happen.
so I want to ask this question. I don't know if any of you have experience with this because like people that play hockey and you're like on the rink for like 2 hours or whatever. Say they like
Great
just
question. I
they
love
just
this.
pee themselves when they're on the rink
Yeah.
because you're not going to stop.
No.
Like
You're also
any ex-
paid millions
Is
of
that true?
dollars. so-
Any experience?
So I actually doubt the fundamental premise, meaning that whenever I've played and even pick up basketball, I will accidentally play for like 2 hours straight, and you won't realize that you've been playing that long because your body goes into fight or flight mode, which halts your processes.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So you're really trying. So I think that I would assume that anyone that's done that, it's like something's gone odd, and they're just like, oh shit. Somehow I gotta pee and I'm on the ice. I'm gonna let this fly. You know, like maybe. But have you ever peed? Like, have you as an adult peed your pants? Like, you don't
No.
pee like a normal amount.
Yeah.
You'd
Right.
be streaking yellow across the ice for quite some time.
How is it that, like, as you get older, you just have more and more pee? Like, it feels like it's just
And more frequent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called getting old. Actually,
Bladder
That's
It's the
that's
prostate
definition.
problem. Yeah.
I'm an expert in that.
I don't know if it's a prostate problem as much as it is like we drink too much bubble water. I think actually one of my
Well-
big problems is I drink too much bubble water and coffee. And so I've backed away. I went back to tea. So like this last week I did a bunch of coffee again, and my urgency to pee and on things like that, my frequency went way up again. I've actually
yeah.
backed off and went back to tea. And things are kind of back on the down, or like
so
they're going back down.
yeah, because
I've just noticed that like coffee makes my body upset.
Coffee's,
You know,
Yeah. Way more
Coffee
diuretic,
has
yeah.
higher caffeine. So is
Yeah.
it, versus tea? So is it like higher?
I think it's not only that, but when you drink coffee, you end thirsty. Whereas when you drink tea, you don't like. I'm not like thirsty. Like I can drink 4 glasses of tea, and I think it also like counts also as water.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you
It
drink
doesn't
coffee, like
negate it all. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like a desert fire going on in my mouth until I drink a liter of water.
Yeah, just ask my body in the morning if coffee is a diuretic or not, because it is.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So you're flushing.
Yeah. Coffee is like, it's more of just like a ritual thing for me. It's like you gotta have coffee because it's like it feels right, but it's like it is not right for your body for sure.
Yeah,
but
I've changed a lot. I actually did 20 some days off of all caffeine just recently.
Yeah,
late January to early February, or throughout that whole period, and then it was really, really good. And so now I've just been on the tea train largely, and it's just it's been more enjoyable. I'd say that I have more normal energy and more normal everything in life.
So you're ready to set up the UK office of the Primeagen trademark.
The UK office?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
I
up
do
with
drink
the UK?
Earl Grey. I do
tea,
like a good old Earl Grey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Plenty of tea.
But I largely drink a Pu'er, which is not a UK
Oh yeah,
tea.
I know. Yeah, I know that one though.
Pu'er is like a medicinal herbal tea. But
it's Chinese.
Herbal teas are good.
Yeah. So it's like you get all the good stuff. It actually has.
Isn't it slightly fermented or something?
It has like some known health benefits. I forget the studies, but there's like some basic, like it could be good for you.
Yeah.
And it also has caffeine, so it's like it's really the best of both worlds. I heard a hot take.
You heard
today,
one.
which is I forgot who was saying it, but they are saying within the next 20 years it will come out that that nicotine is actually a health item.
Okay.
It's the ways you ingest nicotine are the negative.
Oh, so into your lungs.
Well, I do like the thing where people were saying like, I run a marathon and like slap a nicotine patch on. Like that sounds like a body hack. Like definitely do that. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't
like
say
that. If you can trick your body into
right?
If you can trick your body into being addicted to running, that is probably a health benefit for sure.
Oh,
so like
interesting. Depends if you're a woman or a man.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that, but you'll produce significantly more cortisol if you're a lady than a man.
Oh, really?
Long distances, yeah. Your body goes into more of a fight or flight like situation. There's like a whole bunch of breakdowns that I was reading, and my wife was totally into this because she's trying to figure out some problems with her back. So she was like, "All right, how do I do all this?" And she like realized there's like certain techniques, certain times of the day that are more beneficial for her than for me. So like for me, it's way better to work out at like 4 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and for her, it's early in the morning. And like generally, women will have a better biological response than a man, or physiological response. I think would be the proper answer.
Yeah,
and so running can be very cortisol inducing.
That kind of makes sense, and I think that there's
which is like the stress hormone. It's like when you get under stress, you kind of get
yeah, that makes sense.
Fight or flight.
So
obviously not everybody, but it's like the general curve, right? If you fall within the standard deviation, which most of us do, then that's what you're going to experience.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of physical activity, I do want to bring up, I've been very curious every time you post like workout pictures and stuff, like what's up with working out in like khakis or jeans or like full on pants? Like you don't have any workout shorts or anything?
Full ass pants. So okay, so I'm gonna give you the real thing. So my wife bought me a bunch of clothes that double as workout clothes. So the only reason why I wear Lululemon. Oh, hey, see ya, Chuck. The only reason why I wear Lululemon
blow up every once in a while.
Yeah, I understand. Lumex has a really nice camera. That's the one I use. It works very well. Anyways, so I wear clothes that I can double as workouts. I wear Cuts t-shirt underneath. You can sweat in these things, wicks it away. It's like that stretchy material.
I got some
all that
Cuts.
Good stuff. Yeah, Cuts. They're very, very nice. And I also wear largely workout pants that look like regular pants. And the reason why is that if I'm going, like, this is going to be such a ridiculous thing. If I'm going to live the life of waking up at 5:30 in the morning, trying to get ready as quickly as I can, streaming for 4 hours a day, effective at Netflix for the next 6 to 8 hours a day, be able to be with my kids for 2 to 3 hours a day, and be able to be active with my wife and be able to engage her in a real way for at least an hour a day, the only way I'm going to do that is by cutting out all wastes of time. And one of the biggest wastes of time is working out. And so therefore I'm going to figure out a way to work out without having to deal with all the working out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like I often will skip that and like just wear pajama pants. But like if you could just change into like comfy stretchy pants that are like also look like presentable pants.
They're very wickable and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Vuori or like any like they make the like ripstop kind of pants, like kind of same thing. Yeah. So okay,
there's a bunch of brands now that do that, and so that's like literally the idea behind it is that I wear pants that double as workout pants. And if I don't, even if I am in jeans, I'm so used to wearing pants and things like that I can kind of just like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to squat that day. I'll do something else. But like, if you bench press, it's not like your pants play a large role in it other than you're hot.
Well, it depends on your pants. So do you have any Ministry of Supply stuff? Have you heard of them?
I don't know. My wife buys all my clothes.
Ministry of Supply.
I can't tell you the brand of anything other than Cuts because I just saw that.
They have
recently.
like performance like suits, right? So they're like stretchy.
I love this. I could get into this.
So I can like squat in a suit, and it's.
I love this. I could get into that for sure.
Yeah. So check out Ministry of Supply. Like I brought them to my trip to last time we went to Italy, and like I did some squats in a suit, and it was like amazing. I just got the pictures like for the lulz of like I did this, but yeah. Okay. So it's less about like my initial thought was like you're saying like this is the pants I'm gonna wear to like work my land, and I want to like work out in that environment or something. But it's not about that. It's just about like less decisions and like all right. So all right. Cool.
I have 5 or 6 shirts that I wear every single day. I wear black hoodies, same shirts, same pants, pretty much every single day. I have one drawer. That's it. I don't have some extensive closet. My wife has a closet. I have a drawer in a dresser, and that is it. Like your standard size drawer. We're not even talking about like one of those wide mouth drawers. We're talking about like a drawer. It has like 5 shirts, 2 pants, 3 pants in it, and that's it. And then I buy all the same socks, and every 2 years I throw away all my socks and get a new set of socks. Okay. Never fold.
What kind of socks?
Never wear anything. I don't know. My wife buys this.
Oh, okay. All right.
What do you wear on date nights? Same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just like at this point in my life, with all the things going on, I have to make the most optimal decisions of life, which is to just make no decision. Just walk in, grab off the top. That's my life, right? Open up my drawer. Everything's unfolded. I just put my hands in there and grab 2 things out. And I'm like, socks, underwear, pants, shirt, clothes, walk away. So my life literally exists in 3 drawers. Underwear drawer, which is like, we have like a tiny one, like this big of a drawer. So that's like underwear drawer, socks drawer, pants drawer. It would be 2 if I, didn't have that.
Yeah. That's
there you go. I know. It's a little weird, huh?
Okay. Well, that answers my question. So we do need to pick a whiskey before we end here. I think Chuck and I were talking a little bit while you were gone for a second. I think our top 2, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Prime, are Angel's Envy and the New England Barrel Company.
Fair.
Those are your top 2?
I did kind of like the Wild, but I think the New England is pretty.
We can go back and do another taste of the Wild.
So should we?
Well,
taste
I was going to do that, but I also thought maybe if I were to have any more, I'd have bottle number 1 of the Whiskey Web and Whatnots barrel pick number 1.
Well, that one blows all of these away.
Yeah, by the way, that's the best one. It goes pretty far. I have 3 left, by the way. I only have 3 left.
Really? Yeah, I've kept on to mine, and I keep it in the fridge even, and just kind of keep it cool so it can, it's a barrel one, right? I assume you guys aren't just giving away free barrel ones all the time, so it's like this is it's a prized possession.
Yeah, I will bring a case of them to Miami, and we will give them to Dax. Probably doesn't have one yet, so we'll give him one. And then, I don't know, we'll pick who gets them.
Wait.
I think we're doing a day before React Miami party.
Well, I was going to say, let's get awkward and see. Was Robbie invited?
Well, it doesn't matter a ton because I'm going to be at WebDevCon like that day and have to fly from Seattle to Miami, which is going to blow.
That's an awful flight. That's an awful flight.
Yeah, so I don't know what time I'll be there, but whenever I'm there,
if the day before, if you arrive the day before, which
it is
the
day
ideal
before,
time to arrive,
I'll probably
arrive
be
as
like
early as possible,
drunk off the plane, and I will show up wherever you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Reach out on Discord. You're not friends on Discord with me. Just reach out on Discord, and I'll make sure you come out to all the fun stuff. Because
I want to have an exclusivity thing over Robbie, and you are ruining this.
Technically right now I've only invited Robbie.
Okay.
It's actually inverse right now. It's like Uno reversing you right now.
That's
you
true.
haven't technically been invited yet.
But only direct.
Dax invited you though, right, Chuck?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
if
I
Dax invited you, then you're good.
Whatever, message with him sometimes. So, and I would have brought you anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm doing a a red eye in so that I can show up for that party.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. How do you guys feel about like the new wave of tech and influence and Twitter and all that? Because I kind of feel like, in some sense, I'm largely responsible for what has happened.
Yeah.
But now it's out of control. Now it's like its own thing, and I'm just sitting back in the shadows and watching the whole thing happen.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about like the new tech Twitter and everything? Like the fact that we're even talking about a party that's going to take place in Miami.
Yeah.
Like that's like, it just feels weird because that's not normal.
No, it's not.
Twitter
It is very kind of exclusive, so it is kind of funny that it is a created culture.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think you're very much in to be
accidentally. I didn't mean to. I just thought I was having fun on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
Turns out I turned on all the 4chan users and furries just loved what I was saying, and they all joined me on it.
Listen,
I didn't know.
I don't know. I think it's interesting discourse, and I think that, you know, it can be fleeting or as interesting as you make it. Just don't take it that seriously. I mean, just post about CoffeeScript and let people complain about it for multiple days.
Oh God, yeah, that was
which is
funny.
exactly what I did. I just tested that. I was like, what was wrong with this? This is a version of TypeScript that added sugar on top of JavaScript that we loved at the time. By the way, I loved it because I was also working in Python and it felt like less context change. That's what I liked about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little like
it did feel way more back-endy, like whatever you were working in. Like it didn't feel like it fit your JavaScript front end, and that's why I didn't like it. Like it seemed like it went too far the other way.
Yeah. And I liked it because of where I was. You know, it was just like, this made sense to me. I can go back and forth and do some of the same stuff. Awesome. So,
all right. So then follow up. Do you worry about the future of all the fun we've created? Because obviously there's like, my big worry with a lot of this is that we have the mentality of it doesn't necessarily matter. Like I go on Twitter to just have fun. Like I don't go on there for serious discourse. Like I'm smart in that. You have 280 characters. You can't possibly make an articulate anything like that. It's entirely too, it's entirely too one-dimensional to do anything. So it's much better to say, hey, here's something super cool. Here's something I really hate. Here's something I'm thinking about, right? Like that's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You can't do anything in depth. And my big worry is that due to inflated amount of people kind of all falling into this and like our niche of a niche becoming just a niche itself, it's actually becoming pretty large, that people can gain this idea that there's like importance to it, and we will lose kind of this, I don't know how to call it, like an indie style niche where it's just like fun. Like, do you think there's a future where it's unfun and we're back to where it was 8 years ago in tech Twitter? Because at one point 8 years ago, tech Twitter was like, if you're not part of the academia React crowd, you're kind of an asshole, and you get relegated to your little tiny little.
I don't know, because I think the appetites askew more towards TMZ than they do towards like peer-reviewed kind of publication, right? So I think
like the whole React thing has, it's React is still popular, of course, and it will be probably for decades, but like it's. We've started to realize like it's not the silver bullet that everyone said it was. So it's like, I think people are starting to think for themselves a little bit again, and I think like we're staying within that realm, and it's all fun now. Everyone has opinions, and some of them are right, and like there's not like, it's not as polarizing. There's a bunch of alternatives that are like valid at this point.
Yeah, I would say
my worry is more about egos or like fighting. Like we actually get into like gaming.
Yeah.
Like if you go into gaming, there's a lot of people that like fight, and then I kind of view like there's like this outside group. Like I'd put Dr. Disrespect in the outside group. Like they just create, and that is it, right? Yeah. Like they don't really kind of engage in a lot of these more petty type of drama type things. And I worry that even in our world, we're going to fall down into this drama hole, which is kind of like the inevitable end of any content creation is drama. Yeah, and like I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
but
I think that if you are approaching it from a subject matter expertise, that like okay, this is the right answer rather than this is just how I feel. That might be a differentiator there, at least from like a creator's perspective. It's sort of like, don't put it out there of like, this is the happy path for all of your life, instead of like, this is, and I perceive your content in this way of like, hey, this is what's worked for me. This is what I like. Here's why. This is what the outcomes it's given me. Take it or leave it kind of thing, you know, like you learn something, whatever you do with that is for you. I don't think there's harm in that. But there's definitely plenty of people in our space who are going the inverse, and they're going to like try and nab attention. I think that's inevitable. I don't know that will harm it from a creator's perspective. Like if you're someone who's in it over time and you maintain that perspective, then, you know, that's just, I think that can go in perpetuity. I don't know.
Anyways, just to worry, I've been having this thought for like the last few weeks of, you know, like I have a unique chance to speak into this problem. Yeah. And I'm not like the sole voice, so I'm not the dictator, so I can't choose which direction we take. But I do see, at least for the last 2 years, beforehand, it was the old Twitter tech crowd saying, you know, clickbait, scam bait, all these people, and just kind of largely talking down on like the next gen, right?
Yep.
And then it was us just like, oh my goodness, look at how stupid we are. And then like that was it. But now I'm starting to feel like this, like I feel more and more fighting, and people not fighting for like dumb reasons, but like actually fighting for it feels almost like for like clout fighting. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. And so my worry is that I just don't want. I want it to remain a place where people feel like they can just join in and say stupid things, and maybe you'll get dunked on a little bit, but it's like not dunking for the sake of trying to harm. It's dunking for the sake of like, that's like the fun, right? That's the fun. I make fun of my friends. I don't say nice things. Yeah. I don't say nice things to my friends because that's not what friends are for. You say funny things to your friends, and that's, you know, like that's what it's for.
Yeah. I think that's a tough thing because you don't control the platform. So that's part of it. Like Twitch, for example, you control the platform a bit more because it is live, and like you can meld that in the moment. Like Twitter is just gonna like go on, and it goes in weird places, which I do think like a good thing is basically the discourse is maybe like 30 minutes, a couple of hours, and that's kind of it, and then it just sort of goes on. But there's just people like tagging onto that, so like kind of who cares, and most people don't see it. So there's that aspect of it, and yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of the Wild West. It almost makes me think about what you said earlier, where around like real estate, where it's sort of like it can really strongly go in one or other direction. And I think like the stronger, I don't know, for lack of a better term, the stronger voices can help like direct it in those directions. They can't control it completely, but definitely can like just encourage it in one direction or the other. And it could end up being bots and bullshit and, you know, like terrible and whatever else, and it gets abandoned. There's that direction. Or it continues to be like this. I feel like right now it's a very creative space in a lot of ways, because like you can have your comments on there and like posts and like driving people into some content that you're doing. But then like conversely, we can like start a very interesting discourse about, you know, 10-year-old tech, or I don't know. It goes in like very interesting directions. And if we like all sort of encourage those like more creative directions, then it can be fine for a while. So I don't know. I think we are at a like, we're not plateaued by any means, but we will look at it at a certain point, and then it can either be like a garbage space or a good space.
Yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's like if you have a voice in this area and you want it to be good, like you have to kind of fight for that, and it's hard to fight for that and make it good, right? Because once you fight for something by a necessity, you also make something. Well, you're fighting for something, so there's like tension involved, and so how do you like try to bring people about how do you? So like something I've been trying for about the last year and a half is I try to tweet things that are like in the exceptional, either about something I'm doing or something that I really like.
Yeah.
And like just try to keep it in these two camps. Because or else it's like it just degenerates into just like not good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just something I've been thinking about. I know this is a weird tangent. It's just, you get a little bit of whiskey in me, and then I, like my black pill nature that lurks in there kind of comes out a little bit. Like I always worry about any good community, because every community I've ever been a part of up until now has ultimately disbanded. Right? Like everything you've ever, like I've been a part of World of Warcraft guilds. I've been a part of a bunch of online guilds and all that kind of stuff, all those different clans, and every one of them no longer exists.
Right.
Because eventually, like that day, that age, that it moves on. And so that's kind of like my thought process. Like, how do you create something that's like a little bit longer lasting than a year?
It's a hard
I think
problem.
you give it
Or 2
care.
years.
I think that the thoughtfulness that you're putting into it is one part of that, right? And that if you have collusion into that thoughtfulness, is that can encourage some of that. Yeah, because it takes more than one kind of thing, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that you care and that are crafting that, I think, contributes to it. I mean, never say never. It can go either direction. But if, enough people care, get together as we are at React Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. By the way, Michelle, I do want to shout out. I don't know if this will come out beforehand. Michelle's an extremely talented conference hoster. Like I'm shocked about like all the details you have to do to host a conference. Like as someone who's hosted a couple online conferences, it's even as little as I've done, it's an extreme amount of work.
Yeah.
And so like the sheer complexity that's involved and the ability for her to do that, I'm extremely impressed. And so I think anybody would be just fortunate as it gets to have Michelle on their team.
Yeah, for sure. Agree completely.
Yeah. If this does come out before React Miami, you can use the code WhiskeyWebMiami to get a discount.
Oh yeah,
Whiskey Web Miami.
Yeah, I'm not
Web
sure if it
Miami.
will come out before then or not, because
That kind of seems
I
like
don't
a
know.
fail on your guys' behalf, because it's like this is kind of like a moment here, we're having.
I can
about-
make it come out.
We're
earlier,
doing the
'cause
we're
we do it
doing
all
the best
ourselves,
we
so.
can. We're doing Prime Barrel picks right here with Prime.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I do
like,
appreciate you guys always have sent me so much whiskey. You probably sent me a couple $100 worth of whiskey at this point. So hey, thank you very much for.
Yeah.
So
Well-
what you're saying is you're cheap.
We do need to
can buy
pick
you
one of these
very
two,
cheap.
guys.
This is
Wait,
fantastic.
I want
What
to
is our
say one
favorite?
more
Do we wanna
thing
try
about
a little bit of
Miami.
these?
I want to say, and I've been doing that. I want to say one more thing about Miami, and what I like best about it is that
It's in Florida.
we're going to be there, and
Yep.
that we have kind of an open format there. So we're going to do a bunch
I
of
hear you're
like
going to be walking around.
walking around
Yes.
doing man on the streets kind of stuff. And it's the 1st
We'll
time
have
that I can.
flasks and stuff.
Yes, I'm going to force Theo to be on this podcast. I'm going to force him.
Interesting. Okay, so hey, the good news is that Theo and I will be live reacting to
I
some
know.
of the conference
Right,
talks. And
right.
so I'll
So we're
also
We'll
be
be
there
handing you whiskey
doing
while you're doing it.
streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll help foster that relationship in a way.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, because I want things to grow together, not apart. So you know that I'm always going to fight for the good things, the
good
together
things.
things.
And us, the good
Yeah,
things.
and also the reasonable things,
But
and
also
also
us,
you
I
guys.
guess.
Yeah, yeah.
At the end of
Somewhere on
that,
that list.
at the tail end there, is us.
Not prime barrel. One would say not a prime barrel, but one would say a barrel nonetheless.
I love it. All right, yes, let's circle
Yeah.
back and say, so I think we all agree.
Should we
that
rate both of these two on the scale? Take a little sip of each again, and then do the
Yeah, I'm willing to take
tentacles.
another sip.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
willing-
so we've got the
I'm
Angels
willing to take
Envy and the New
I still have
England
whiskey,
Barrel
web,
Co.
and whatnot.
Yeah,
Whiskey that
yeah.
I'm
He's
trying
not-
to finish over here.
I know. Listen, that's going to influence your palate, but
Yeah,
you do.
that one's better than any of these.
It is. Now they all seem amazing.
Well, now I'm just muting these other ones, so
Okay, so New England Barrel
Are we starting with New England?
and Angels. No, I would start with Angels.
Okay, all right. So start with
Okay.
Angels, and we'll
I'm gonna
we'll
do
all
it.
rate this one.
I'm gonna do it like a Kentucky boy, right out of the bottle.
Ken Wheeler style.
Yeah, I don't
He's
think that's
not
called Kentucky boy.
Kentucky.
I think that's called the New Jersey boy.
New Jersey boy. Yeah, he prefers it out of these little plastic bottles.
By the way, I am a huge fan of Ken Wheeler. So, I'm going to throw that out there. I just absolutely love
You do?
hanging out with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
he's
super
coming.
We'll
excited.
see him in Miami.
Dude, we got Madison. We got Madison there. We got Ken Wheeler there. We got Theo there.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we get Soycotic there. There's a maybe on Soycotic. But
Is
if we
she
get
real?
that there,
Is she a
I'm
real
going to be
person?
sitting.
Yeah,
I
she's
am
AI,
literally
right?
going to be. No, fully real human. I'm going to be sitting in the middle of 4 people. I'll be the quiet one, just like voyeurism.
Wait.
Just like, oh
Wait,
my.
is she going to be live, like commenting?
No,
with
I
you?
don't think she's going to be. I don't think she's going to be around. She's not like jumping on anything that I know of.
Oh, okay.
But if work
She
and
lives in
things
Florida.
align, because she has like a pre-planned some sort of something can't make it due to other events
okay.
or circumstances or whatever. But if things do change and she has the availability, she will make it down. And if that's the case, I personally am the most excited, probably,
Right.
because I've been following Soycotic since like she had like 400 followers.
Yeah, I don't know.
And just interacting with her, her takes are just have been the funniest thing in the
So
universe,
funny.
and so I'm just so excited about
funny.
it. I'm so excited for the chance to like meet her in real life.
Yeah.
All right. So did you do the Angels Envy or New England first?
Angels Envy.
I do the Angels first.
Do I gotta like shake it a little bit?
No.
Distribute the goods evenly.
All right,
hold
you
on,
want to
I
rate
gotta
this one,
Okay.
Chuck? Tell us about it.
Okay. So the
Tell us. Hit us,
Angels
Chuck.
Envy, in terms of finished bourbons, to me, I mean, it is tasty. It's pretty good. It is better than other Angels Envies. Finished bourbons, we've had a few barrels that are pretty decent. I'm going to put it at a solid 6. 6 for me.
Okay.
I've already got my
This is out of 8,
decision
right?
made.
This is
Yeah.
out of 8.
Or
Yeah.
9, or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever you.
It's 0
9,
through 8, meaning
0
that
through
there's
8.
9
There's
slots
9,
available.
10,
So that's actually a
5.
7 out of 9 if you're on a 1 scale. If you're programming Lua.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of agree, but I would go a little higher. And I don't know if we want to do half ratings or how we want to be, but I don't think it's quite a 7, and I don't think it's as low as a 6. So I'm going to say like 6.5.
Okay.
So I guess I have a fundamentally different thing. So I kind of rate them by, because due to the rookiness of myself, I like to rate these whiskeys by how, like, I guess they feel my kind of moment or my moment right now.
mouthfeel.
And when I drink the whiskey, the Angel Envy, what I've noticed is that it has like a hard front and an oddly hard back, right?
Oh,
like it has
okay.
both sides are kind of like
The
intense, where
follow-through
some
is
may
just
have like a ramp up, a high period, and a low kind of ramp off.
Yep.
Whereas this one kind of feels like you got both sides. It's like a step function. It's like 0, 1, 0, right? Like it's like on or off.
It's like the tailwind of whiskey, you would say.
I wouldn't say that because that makes no sense. Okay?
No, it doesn't. It's just
Okay, it really
Robbie's
doesn't
way
make any
of saying
sense here, okay?
tailwind again in any
I have to say
podcast.
tailwind as many times as I can.
He has a deal with
Yeah.
Adam on the back end. It's
Adam is a great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
And like out of all open source creators, I've had a lot of fun with Adam, and I think he's just a swell fella. You know what I mean?
Would agree.
Just a swell fella.
there are a good amount of nice, fun people in our industry. So I will say that.
So there's kind of 2 flavors that I get out of the Angel's Envy. There's the non-iced version, which is like right off the, you pour it in, you put a little ice in, you take it,
Yep.
and it's like really intense. And the second one's more of like a Gaussian distribution. You kind of get like, you almost kind of lose a lot of it, what it is, pretty quickly in ice. And so I'm not sure if that's like an intended purpose, whereas I feel like some hold their ability in ice longer. And so I would actually give this like more of a 5 out of 8.
Ooh,
Just the fact
okay.
that it falls apart quicker in
Yeah,
ice.
yeah,
I'm not sure
okay.
if that's intended or not.
I
But
just want to try that.
So we'll
Not
average
nice,
that
but
at a 6,
it has a
I
much
guess.
different flavor, kind of ramp up and fall down when you put
All
a
right.
little ice in it.
So let's try
we'll
the New
drop a
England
water.
then and see how we feel.
I'm not there yet. I'm consuming.
No, it's
I've
fine.
drank
No rush.
way too much for this fine evening.
Can you be a dad today?
Yeah. I am gonna not be a father after this.
I am gonna
I did-
not
we
be
did-
a coder after this for sure. I'm 100% done coding today.
Yeah. Shepherd
So
JS is
I'm
gonna
actually going to
ship
go back to
major
coding.
version.
I'm going to do a NeoVim plugin right after this. But the nice part is that we hired this kid named Xander. By the way, so interesting story about South Dakota. You may like this or not. South Dakota contains a school called the School of Mines. A lot of school mines kind of in this this whole side of the country. I don't know what it is about the School of Mines, but like right down the middle America's line, there's a lot of these schools, right? Denver has one, and they all tend to be really excellent schools. They tend to be like if there was like a Ivy League of the Midwest, they tend to fall into it, all these School of Mines. And something that's very unique about Rapid City contains 50,000 people, not a big city. There's been like 20 ACM programming competitions for the global awards ever, and one of them has been held here. Unironically, 6 in a row, they have gone to the globals for programming competitions. Like the smartest kids you'll ever meet come out of Rapid City. It's shocking how good the school actually is. It's so good that I'm actually willing. I'm gonna get in talks with them again this summer about actually doing a data structures course for them and actually live streaming it and trying to like build something up, because it's like the teacher there is amazing, right? Like if you're gonna go and you're gonna do computer science, you should honestly do it here in Rapid City. And you would have never got that out of me. I would have thought there's no way that South Dakota has anything. But I mean, there's only been 20 locations, and a quarter of them has been in Russia, right? Like usually, whenever you're doing some sort of data structure analysis, anything thing, it's always not here in Middle America. But this one specific region just produces the greatest students ever, and so it's like shocking because it's a very small university, and so I just absolutely love. I think it's just the greatest, and so I really want to kind of prop them up. And so if you didn't know that about Rapid City, just
feels
lights
like,
out by accident.
Yeah, feels like they have the overlap, right?
The which overlap?
Climate overlap. Because
I don't know
Russia,
what that means, because we have
Russia, very cold.
That's Köppen system D, and sometimes like a late stage C. We're kind of more of an early stage C, like a CA.
All of the kids when they're born, they give them the combinatorics for babies out there, and that's why they're so good.
You think that's it? All I know is I'm not kidding you. So I have gotten first place in regionals when it comes to the ACM programming competition. I never once qualified for globals. I got the highest rank that I know of at Montana State University for programming competitions, and that was super hard. So like, I mean, these kids
are just crushing it.
Yeah. They're smart.
Yeah.
Right. They put me genuinely to shame, and I studied hard for these programming competitions. Like I was in there solving dynamic programming problems. I could do the coin change problem like that. Like not even like dude, it's just wild how smart these
kids
are.
have solved the traveling salesman problem. Hands down.
They are literally walking traveling salesmen.
Yeah. All right. So let's try some New England here.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a talker more than
it's all right.
anything else.
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure we pick one. I'm
so excited about React Miami. Honestly, this is like, I'm so excited about that.
You know, isn't it interesting as we like talked about like React as a whole, and sort of React Miami is like we're brought together by this similar, I don't know, like correlation, but it's so much more than that. Really, it is. It's called React Miami, but it feels like a
web development
event.
Miami.
Yeah, it feels like a cultural event.
My assumption is by next year or 2 years from now, Michelle will rename this from React Miami to something more general.
Yeah.
Because she brings in a lot of people that are like way more like than just React, right? Like they'll do like React from OCaml, or even more so just nothing to do with React, but like foundational material, like how the web works.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually a really great conference, and it's 100% the reason why I'm buying in is that she offers way more to the average person attending than you're going to get at most conferences. Because when you go to a conference, you get like a very one-dimensional slice into a technology.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels more, it's almost like like it's a vertical slice into computer science. And so I just absolutely love the whole experience. So very excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like the syntax guys don't use React as a general rule, and they're like a big deal.
Doing a live session.
They use Svelte and SvelteKit, and so like it's really about like, you know, all of us can do React and we have opinions on it, but like also we all do web development, and let's just talk about that.
I think the thing is that React kind of spawned modern web development.
Yeah,
for better or for worse. Like it spawned it, and It's like, because before that, we were all cowboys swinging our 6-shooters, doing jQuery, and however we felt something should be done. And they're the first people to put it on Rails, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, here's web development on Rails. And like, that's an extremely impressive feat considering the state of web development. I'm not saying I'm happy where tools went. I'm not saying I'm happy that TypeScript exists. I'm not happy at all these kind of things. And I'm not even knocking against types. You know I love typed languages. What I'm saying is that they actually were able to convince everybody who did something different to do something at least somewhat less different. Like that's genuinely impressive.
Yeah. Get some conventions. I mean, there's that.
Convention over configuration is what they say.
100%.
And there's part of me that likes
#EmberJS.
Hashtag EmberJS. That's right. That is such an.
Didn't they take that from Rails,
2011 shout out. Dude, like a lot of people don't know about that. But that's like such to this team, or to this day, like people don't realize. Sorry, team. Something popped up saying basketball notification, so I said team. But like to this day, people don't realize like a lot of these concepts that you're discovering today, like convention over configuration, that calls back to like 15 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
It was Rails and then Ember and all of those things. But okay, so I've tried this New England one again. I think this one is more like a 7 for me.
Yeah,
this one is.
I'm in the 7 camp.
Better than the Angel's Envy, which is a twist because I thought the Angel's Envy was the best. But I think this is better for me. About a 7.
I think this is just.
How do you guys feel?
I think the Angel's Envy has a lot more sweetness to it, and it's easy. It's very approachable. I would like recommend it for those reasons. But I think as far as interest and like robustness, and it just has like more to it, and it's like Prime said, it sort of like starts and ends similarly, like New England for me.
Yeah, this is more
I would give
robust.
it a 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It's not just sweet.
So I had a little bit more of a unique experience, maybe. I had kind of like a sine wave, maybe, is the best way to put it, is that it started off on like this kind of intense, I wouldn't put it bitter, but like squeezy kind of experience to begin with.
Yeah.
And then it went down and almost like disappeared, and I thought I was done with it. And then it came back, and on the outsides of my tongue, it really lighted back up, right?
Yeah.
And typically when I have this kind of experience, I find myself more thirsty. And so I find that if I were to enjoy this New England drink, I would have to also enjoy it with a water of some sort.
Yeah. I don't think that's
And so I could not drink this without a backup. Whereas a nice job, everybody drinking. But like with the Angel Envy, I feel like I could actually sip on that by itself and enjoy myself. Whereas with this New England, I feel like I need a co-pilot, right? Like I need somebody else there kind of with me, or else I'm not going to be able to enjoy it nearly as much.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I don't feel like that's a negative. I feel like I'm getting enough flavor-wise, and then I get
unless you're
like
on an island.
I don't think it's a negative either.
No access to other drinks. Like I think it's a negligible fact. Yeah.
But when I say so, typically when I say negative, it's like it's something bad, right? But this is not a negative. It's more of a how you trek the path, right?
Yeah.
Some paths are more rough than others, and so this one's just like if you don't come with an assistant, I think you won't enjoy yourself as much.
Yeah.
And so this I think is maybe a longer sipper versus Angel Envy maybe as a shorter sipper. Like I could just have that, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy it as long. But I have to come like more with backup.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with cigars. Some cigars you'd be able to smoke just like the cigar itself, and some you have to have like a drink with it, or else it's not as good. Like there's experiences that you kind of need.
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you have a clear winner?
I'm going to go with New England.
All right.
Only because there's more to it even after the ice cubes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I think Chuck and I would agree. So
Yeah.
I know nothing about what this New England is, but do you have info on what it's called, Chuck, or how people can find it?
I will.
You will?
I mean,
put
it's
it in the
called
show notes.
New
You don't have it right
England
now.
Barrel Cheers with an exclamation point. And
Single barrel straight. All right. So go to theprimebarrel.com, and we will, by the time you're there, we will have labeled it with ThePrimeagen and Whiskey Web and whatnot, so you can find it. That is our pick, and you can buy some and check it out.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
I liked it. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'll put a link somewhere or something.
I've had so much more whiskey than usual. This is.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would want to do this every time.
No,
This might be a lot of whiskey, but I was in it. I was ready.
Yeah.
It's a lot of whiskey. It's whatever. But we got somewhere on a lot of things.
We did.
Talked about tech Twitter and this culture that we want to embrace and, foster forward in a good way. We're going to fly fish. And
we are.
We're going to hang out
fly
in Miami.
fish, and we're going to have cigars in Miami.
Yep. Booyah.
And hang out with Dax.
Yeah.
Dax is such a good guy. So Dax and I have, and a few other people, TJ, and so it's not just me. Dax, Adam, if you don't know Adam Elmore, and TJ and I will have a big announcement.
Oh,
during this time.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
So I don't even know if this is coming out in time. So people may not even know that this exists.
We don't know. It depends on my stamina.
Tomorrow
for
FM,
editing.
Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam Elmore.
Which one was that? Yeah, Adam Elmore, the ripped vegan jiu-jitsu guy, right? I mean,
who has like a
imagine
crazy
if he was
cold plunge and stuff.
I cold plunge. First off, I have a cold plunge.
His shit looks fancy though. He put it online and is like fancy.
Yeah,
whatever.
mine's like gorilla. So I live in a fancy ass house, but it's like also the opposite of fancy. So the person who built my house was can I curse on this?
Yeah.
He's a fucking nutbag, right? Like, so when I got in there, so here's a story I got to tell this story. So I walk into my house, or at this point, it wasn't my house. I walk in, and my wife's like, "You're going to love this place." So I walk in, it's like cold. I remember how low the AC was, and I just remember that day, it felt cold and nipped at my skin. And I walked through, and I remember looking at everything and like, okay, it's pretty nice. Like a lot of good angles. I like everything about this. I'm walking through, and I go into the master bedroom, and I look like, so for those that don't know, we've done this on your podcast. I'm very anti-porn, right? Like we've covered that whole thing. And I look over, and boom, just teats and a motorcycle. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. I look over, teats and a motorcycle. I'm like, whoa, like vagine and a motorcycle. So I'm like, whoa, this is like so much very intense artwork in this. And so then I go into the bathroom. The bathroom above the shower says money shot in like graffiti. And he has, I kid you not, I will send you a picture so you can put this on the video podcast if you want to. It is a penny chair, a chair where the outside is made of nothing but pennies. And on the top of it is a dollar sign made out of nickel or dimes. And so it's just like, this guy is obviously different. Yeah. And I walk out, and I'm just like, obviously, at this point, I'm just like, what have I got myself into? This is a little weird. Yeah. And I walk up, and I see the guy, and the realtor is like, oh, here's the owner. So I go up to shake his hand. Because, I'm kind of like, I'm a country boy at heart. I can't help it. And we start chatting. We have actually a pretty good time. Like, I genuinely like the guy. I think he's an easy guy. I could get a beer with the guy. Like, I wouldn't go into business with the guy, but I could get a beer with the guy. Yeah. And honestly, he does a great job at business. I think we just approach it differently. But as far as like getting a beer with the guy, I actually think he's pretty nice to be around. He knows how to talk. Yeah. And he gets up there and he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, how's it going, Howie? And he's like, we shake hands. And then he's like, oh, yeah, the realtor, he kept telling me to take down the pictures of my wife. I hope that didn't bother you when you went into my room. And I realized at that moment that I saw his wife naked before I met the man, which is a very unique experience to have. Most people don't meet somebody like in that kind of context. And then right afterwards, he was just like, oh, yeah, by the way, my wife couldn't be here. She is rounding up she's doing some FBI tasks right now. She's a nice agent. So I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I just had like the most amount of information dump I've ever had in one moment of my lifetime. Yeah. I have an ICE agent who's naked on the wall with motorcycles and money shot above the shower, and this guy told me that the realtor didn't want it down, and I'm shaking hands and having a Bud Light with the guy. Like I'm super like, I'm just like, this is the most confusing moment of my lifetime. Like, who am I? What's happening? And so of course I had to buy the house at that point. Like, I just knew it. I could feel it. It was right.
You were like, this is the
place. So you still got all the the penny chair and the money shot and your.
I still got the penny chair, but I do not have the money shot. We painted over that. That was actually one of the requirements in the purchase, is that the money shot must be painted over. Disrespectful, as my wife said. Agreed with her.
But still, you were like, agree, but also...
I love that was built into the contract, though. That's awesome.
It was built into the actual contract. Yeah. The money shot sign had to go down.
You're like, it's getting painted over. He can pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, it was going to get painted over. We already knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there you go.
All right. Well, that was an interesting last point there. We are way over time. So I do want to give you a chance. Is there anything you want to plug before we end here?
No.
I'm
just happy to be here.
You don't want to plug the Prime Barrel Whiskey membership?
If there was something I were to plug, as ThePrimeagen, Primeagen who streams on Twitch, commonly referred to as Amazon Prime, I would personally plug the Prime Barrel at theprimebarrel.com/whiskey web and whatnot.
Sure, let's do that.
Well, I don't know what the link's going to be. It's definitely theprimebarrel.com.
How about theprimebarrel.com/bytheway? BTW.
I like it.
Okay.
I think
that's a good one.
You can say whatever you want it to be, and then we'll force them to make it be true.
I like this idea. It's really because by the way is the natural thing that you want to say as the developer. By the way, I use whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. So there we go.
So listener, go to one of those links. One of those will work.
Primebarrel.com/BTW.
Yep.
It'll be there hopefully by the time this comes
Whiskey
out.
Web Miami will definitely work for React.
Use that at React Miami because it already works as of today. So if this came out right this second, you could use it. So
perfect. You should make this come out early.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but you should.
You're right. Cool. I'm not busy. I'll edit it. I'll get it out.
Yeah, get to it tonight. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Thanks, bye.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave some ratings, reviews. We're done.
Boom, 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 boom,
Do it.